Let's get on with the show. I have a couple of articles I want to pull up here and give you guys the latest details in the Bryan Kohberger case. So what I first want to pull up is that Bryan Kohberger's Kaylee Gonzalez's family is challenging the gag order right now. And I don't know if you've seen this, but let's pull this article up. This article is from News Nation, and News Nation has been doing a fantastic job uncovering this case and unveiling new details. And like I said, over here on the Opinionated Idiot Show, I always follow the facts. We always follow the facts. Anything that's been reported on, I try to stay away from the conspiracy theories. I try to treat all of this with respect and dignity to all of the families that have been involved, the friends and families that have been involved, and Moscow in general. The students, the school, the friends, the family. We try to report with respect. So here we go. Kaylee Gonzalez, family attorney, challenges the gag order. I got a little video here we're going to play in a minute, but let me read through a little bit of this article first. So it says, Shannon Gray, attorney for the Ohio stabbing victim, Kaylee Gonzalez's family is challenging the gag order issued to the judge in this case. I just want to check my camera real quick because I've had some major issues with focusing and lighting, and I'm trying to make sure we nail it down. All right, I am clear. We're good. We're going to read on here. It says, it would place an undue burden on the victim's family if the attorney whom have retained to represent the interest of was prohibited from serving all this. But I'm tripping over my words this evening. I'm excited. There's all these new details. I've been dying to get on air and speak with all of you, but I'm tripping on my words. I got to slow down, man. Got to relax. I always get nervous before I go on air. But anyway, Gray said in a statement released on Friday, a judge gag order is in the case bar law enforcement and attorneys from talking to the media and public. But, I'm going to tell you a lot of new details that are coming out. There are people that are speaking about what's going on. There are details leaking. So it says police have remained tight-lipped about the investigation since the beginning, but I don't know if they're getting it. The details that are coming out, especially the details about the crime scene that have been leaked, that is coming from someone that's very close to this case. So people are talking, even though there's gag orders in place. Reporters are getting information about this case, still getting report, and we got a long way to go. Because Kohberger's not going to be back in jail. I'm back in court. He's currently in jail, but he won't be back in court until the 26th of June. So we have a lot to talk about. It says police allege Bryan Kohberger was responsible for the killings. We know all that. We have, let's see, there's a gag order here. And I'm not going to pull up too much of that. There's a lot of legal jargon in that. But we'll go back to the main article here. So let's go up to this video up here. Let's play through. This is from Banfield on News Nation. Let's see what she has to say.
Which will be submitted. Still on Bryan Kohberger's case. She has not recused herself, and she is back in the news again tonight. Prosecution asked her to share any evidence that might tend to prove Kohberger's innocence, and this week she responded. It's called a discovery request. She said that they have nothing to turn over at this time, writing, and I quote, "There are no books, papers, documents, photographs, or copies, or portions thereof in the possession of the defendant at this time, which will be submitted at the time of trial." And she goes on to say, there are no reports of physical or mental examinations or scientific tests which are in the possession of the defendant at this time.
So what they're basically offering, and this is what I think. I think the attorney for Kohberger has no idea where to bring this case right now. Has no idea where to bring this case right now. Has no idea where to bring the defense in this case right now. They have nothing to offer to show innocence of Bryan Kohberger right now. And of course, they're going to delay that. Of course, they're going to talk about that in trial. But right now, I don't think they have a leg to stand on. There is so much mounting evidence that is compiling right now against BK. that I think it's going to be a very difficult case to defend. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence. We have the DNA evidence. We have the eyewitnesses. We have some new accounts that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit about that he was creeping around the Moscow campus for weeks before the incident. Well, let's continue to play through this.
Joining me now is Jennifer Koffendorfer. She's a former FBI special agent with 28 years in federal law enforcement. So, Jennifer, hearing about, I'm going to get you to sort of respond to all of the things that we're reporting tonight. This new information coming from sources close to the investigation, and then, of course, this new response to the request for discovery. So let's start with the new information. Your thoughts?
Well, the new information coming forward, depending on how you really look at what the coroner said. If you look at the coroner's notes, he or she actually came back later and sort of recanted her initial statement and basically said, no, they weren't really all in bed. So,
and I think that Kaylee's family wants this talked about in the media. I think they basically want to bury BK. But again, like I always said here on this channel, that, someone always has the right to due process. Someone is always innocent until proven guilty. But I think that, obviously, they lost their little girl. This was upsetting. But they want this talked about and discussed in the media. And I think that's why they're challenging the gag order.
We now have really two statements from the coroner regarding.
And we got, good old website, baby. We got buffering. I haven't seen buffering in forever. Did I lose my internet? Let's see. I might have lost my internet. Let's back that up.
Statements from the coroner regarding.
No, I'm still alive. We got a buffering issue. Come on, man. You ruined my show.
On Bryan Kohberger's case, she has not. Scientific tests.
Let's speed up here.
Years in federal law enforcement.
We're going to try to restart.
So, Jennifer,
we're going to try to restart this.
Hearing about, I'm going to get you to sort of respond to all of the things that we're reporting tonight. This new information coming from sources close to the investigation, and then, of course, this new response to the request for discovery. So let's start with the new information. Your thoughts?
Well, the new information coming forward, depending on how you really look at what the coroner said. If you look at the coroner's notes, he or she actually came back later and sort of recanted her initial statement and basically said, no, they weren't really all in bed. So we now have really two statements from the coroner regarding what she saw that night. So I would be in agreement with your other guests.
So this here is saying sources, Ethan was killed in the doorway of Xana's room. So that leads us to believe that Ethan and Xana were killed last. So Kaylee and Maddie, it looks as if they were killed first. So Kohberger had to go up to that room, that third floor. And this goes back to who was targeted. It's now seeing someone in that room, in the two girls' rooms, in the two girls in that room, one of them were targeted. He knew to go to that bedroom. He knew to go up there.
That both what the coroner said previously and what we know now could comport, because I think they were said in very general terms initially.
There's also so much discussion about this potential.
And again, this source, when it says sources, this means that someone is talking about this case. Could be law enforcement, could be a reporter that heard something when they were around law enforcement. So there are always ways around gag orders. I mean, the media that's their job. They're going to stick, pick, probe into anything they can, talk to any neighbor, talk to any friend, anybody that's heard anything, a friend of a police officer, whatever. That's their job. They're going to try to find that news source to get it out and try to get that story out and keep it current. So they're first on the topic. So they get their clicks and views.
Conflict of interest. I know that the rules of conflicting are slightly different in Idaho.
You guys could
but
do
I
me a
keep coming
favor.
back to the
Really quick. I got 7 people watching right now. Go down really quick. Just hit that upvote button. Just real quick. The upvote button. Just really, really quick. If you could do that for me, I really would appreciate it, because it's going to push. It's going to push this out into the algorithm. There was not 2 people living in the basement. That has been debunked. They were on the 2nd floor, and Madison's bedroom was up on the 3rd floor. In the 3rd floor of that,
this could be a
I've
death
already
penalty
talked
case.
about this.
So I don't
Go
think
down
you
and
can
hit
cut any
that
corners
upvote
anywhere
button,
and
guys.
assuage
Please
any
hit that
sort of
upvote
conflict
button.
at all if you're dealing with a
It'll
case that
help
could
push
end
this
up as a
channel
death
along
penalty
in the
case.
algorithm.
What's your read on that?
You know, I agree with you, Ashley. The bottom line is the rules are definitely lax when you look at both the case law and also their regulations. And actually, in one of the court rulings, they even described it as sort of relaxed in terms of their conflict. And this just isn't a situation where you can operate in the gray. We know that the defense is going to put forward a very strong argument, and that could entail drugs. And there could be a nexus that they try to establish. And based on
rewind
Karen
that.
Gray,
I want to hear that again. Hang on.
and actually in one of the court rulings.
Let's go back a little bit.
All if you're dealing with a case that could end up as a death penalty case. What's your read on that?
You know, I agree with you, Ashley. The bottom line is the
BC, I know you've asked these questions. You can go on Reddit and actually and just Google cell phone towers, Moscow, Idaho, Reddit, and you'll be able to get all of that data. Someone actually drew all that up. There's a huge article on it over there. It's I've covered a little bit in some of my past videos, but there is there's actually a walkthrough. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it for you. And then you can do you know, in your own downtime, you'll be able to look it over. And they actually have all the case facts over there. So hang on. Moscow. I actually did a video of the full walkthrough, and it has all that information in the information that you're looking for. Thank you, Casey. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Please smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. Thank you, Casey. Let me just Google that really quick. Hang on. Let me just Google up. And I'll drop this link. And I actually did a full walkthrough of this video. On one of my live streams. Hang on one second. I just got to find it. I think I have it. Yeah, this is a really great link, and you can actually go through a virtual tour of 112 King Road, and they have all of the case file data inside, kind of like the closet. So as you're virtually walking through, you can go into the closet of the house, and it'll have all the case file there, so you can read through. I actually did a full tour, and let me post the link of my video if you guys are interested in going back and rewatching that. Just give me a minute here. I don't know if I've uploaded that yet, because I've been transferring a lot of my content from my old channel onto this channel. Yeah, I got it right here. Full walkthrough. I'm going to drop that link below too, if you guys want to go back and watch the video with commentary. Yeah, no problem, BC. I appreciate that. Appreciate all you guys. Casey, I appreciate that. She says, I think the cell phone towers can be as accurate as a couple of meters, if I recall correctly. I believe you're correct on that as well. BC, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And let's go on with this video here. And actually, let me hit the banner. If you guys want to call into the show, the phone line is open if you want to talk and discuss the case. If not, please smash that like button. You can hit channel memberships down below and super chats as well. Appreciate you guys. Let's play through this.
Are definitely lax when you look at both the case law and also their regulations. And actually, in one of the court rulings, they even described it as sort of relaxed in terms of their conflict. And this just isn't a situation where you can operate in the gray. We know that the defense is going to put forward a very strong argument, and that could entail drugs. And there could be a nexus.
Yeah, there's been a rumor out there, and I've seen this a lot all over Reddit, and I think people are just talking about, like, as far as this defense, and just going back to what I believe this is a former attorney, she's saying that there's been, basically a theory out there that, this is all drug related. And maybe the reason that Kohberger was there, I've heard some pretty good, versions of what it could be. Kohberger went there for drugs. Let's say he brought the knife with him to cut up his drugs. It gets left there. Someone, gets mad at the roommates in the house. They use that knife to basically kill everybody in the house. The sheath gets left behind. That's why it has Kohberger's DNA on it. And then all of a sudden, Kohberger's prime suspect number one, and the other person gets away. So that is a theory that's been thrown out there as well. I don't know. I think that's going to be a really hard one to pass by with all of the, camera data, cell phone data. Yes, and it is all circumstantial, but it makes in my opinion, a very strong case that Bryan Kohberger, is alleged, suspect number one in this. And who knows? Who knows what happens, but I think we're all excited. And I want to say, like, excited in a good way, but we want to get to this. If there's a trial in this, especially for someone like me, where I can break it down and actually watch the trial with all of you, and and go through that. But I think we're just kind of waiting to get to trial and see what happens. I'm just very curious. It's such a very interesting, curious case where you have such crazy dynamics of evidence. You have, and it's just this story of something that we have never really heard before. And I think that's what's gravitated and pulled people into this. Just 4 people, innocent people, they all get murdered, and then there's no suspect, and this is taking forever. And then all of a sudden, it's kind of shocking. It's like, oh my God, they had someone, they found someone. And it's I think that's what it's done to everybody, to grip everybody in. And then we want to see justice for the victims that were involved in this. Casey says, I do wonder how they're going to address the court with a non-compos mentis defense. I was under the impression that it wasn't possible in Idaho. It'll be interesting to watch. Yeah, 100% be interesting to watch, knowing that there's no motive at this point. But I think that, police and investigators and, the prosecuting attorney, I think, is going to work really hard on that. And, and the thing that I'm seeing right now is kind of that stalking vibe. We now know that he followed the 3 girls on Instagram. That account has now, been since deleted. We have all that facts. He was in and around that area multiple times before the incident. There might be connections that he actually went into the restaurant. The restaurant's actually denying that, but it could be possible. So there's a lot of, again, there's circumstantial evidence, but I look at this case, and I even said this is someone, and I said this when they didn't even have BK as a suspect. I talked about it in one of my videos, and I said, this is going to be someone that knows these girls. In whatever way. He either, went to that house and partied before. He saw these girls somewhere in that area and got fixated on, maybe, 1 or 2, or maybe all 3 of them. But this is someone that clearly has had contact in some way with these girls before. And it's funny, all the things that I listed, and if you go back and watch that video, and I'll find the video for you, and I'll post in the chat if you want to watch it after this live stream. But, I said that this possibly could be a serial killer that did this. Let me see if I can find the video really quick. Let's see. Hang on one second. Let me see. I think it's this one. It might be this one. I'll drop it here in the chat. You can go back. If not, you can search through the videos there. I don't think it's that one, but close enough. Close enough. But let's go back and finish this up
that
here.
they try to establish.
But that's a
And
great
based
point, Casey.
on
Super
Sharon's
good point.
background, that could be an issue. And I just cannot understand why anyone in the abundance of caution would continue to represent.
And that there hasn't been any kind of public addressing of this issue at all. Maybe there's been an in-camera meeting, but we don't know anything about it. Last question for you. I want to read you something that really tweaked. This was fascinating in the state's response to the request for discovery. So, to the extent that information exists regarding an informant who is not going to be produced as a witness, including recordings or written statements of an informant, or that identify such an informant, such information is not subject to disclosure. And the state asserts informative privilege and prays for appropriate protective orders as necessary. An informant? I mean, should we assume there is one? Or is this just in case there is one? Help me sort through the import of that.
Well, when I first read that, Ashley, I was very convinced that there is an informant or informant information that is going to come forward. If there weren't, they would have simply addressed that they don't have any such information, and it would have been in the negative. But because it's worded this way, I think that there is some informant information.
Well, I can't wait to find out.
So someone knows something. Someone knows something. That's basically what we're getting
what
there.
That is. Jennifer Coffendorfer, thank you. And I'm going to ask you to stay too, because I have some questions for you a little later in the program as well. I'm going to move on to this other story that we're following, though. It is
so Banfield, she kills it over there on News Nation. I really love watching her. She's been following the story, and News Nation's been a great job. Lauren Crime has also done a great job, and also the guys over there now killing it in the algorithm, the Drunk Turkey Show. If you guys haven't checked those guys out, go over and check them out as well. Let's move along here. I have another segment from Banfield, and let's play through this really quick. I'm going to pull this up. Let's see. If I could get more organized, if I could just get more organized, I'd be all right. But I appreciate all you guys. Please hit the like button down just really quick. It's like 2 seconds. Just that little thumbs up. Boop, boop, boop. Thumbs up. It helps along. It helps the stream along. Let's play through this here. Actually, you know what? I have a longer clip. Of this. Let me get off this really quick. Just hit that thumbs up button, guys. I appreciate you. All right, let's play this 3-minute segment here, and then I got a 6-minute segment.
source
From Banfield, News Nation. Let's check it out. Hit that thumbs up button. I appreciate all of you.
I want to begin with some breaking news on the Idaho murder case. A couple of sources with knowledge of the investigation have told News Nation some details.
This means that there are people talking about this case. There are people that are close to this case. There's information being leaked out to the media. I don't know if it's friends. I don't know if it's law enforcement. I don't know if it's a private investigator that's been hired from the families. I don't know, but there is information that is getting out. Go down, guys. Please hit the thumbs up button. Come on. It takes 2 seconds.
Details that up until now we did not know. Let me lay a few of these details out, but I do want to warn you that this is graphic information and it is uncomfortable to hear.
Let's hang on real quick. Let's get this chat up. Casey says, I think the informant may have been a surviving witness, in my opinion. That'll be a huge part of the dismantling of their credibility. So the prosecution needs to protect him. That quite possibly be. And I also heard that there's a rumor that the 2 surviving roommates are in protective custody at this time. I know that's kind of floating around, like witness protection program. I'm not sure, but I know that I've heard that theory kind of been thrown around too. So that's very, very interesting.
Hear this because we're talking about innocent kids who were killed in that home back in October. And not only that, this is evidence that likely will come out in court at some point. Whether it will be germane to who the killer is or not, that remains to be seen. But it could be evidence nonetheless. With that in mind, let me let you know what these sources have told News Nation. Number one, they told us that the victims, Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogen, were killed first, and they confirmed that.
Yes, he followed two of the girls on Instagram. Yep, I feel like it's definitely a rejection and retaliation. Yeah, absolutely. We talked about this theory. We floated this one around. I feel very strongly about that as well. I do believe that this is, it's just someone that was rejected. Yeah, the whole incel vibes. I totally think so too, Casey. 100%, 100%. Appreciate all the chat this evening, guys. Please go down there, hit the thumbs up button. It pushes this tiny little channel out in those algorithms. Please.
Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle.
All right, let's back this up because I have a big mouth and I like to talk a lot.
With that in mind, let me let you know what these sources have told News Nation. Number one, they told us that the victims, Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogen, were killed first, and they confirmed that Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were killed on the second floor afterwards. And these are some of the other details that they have released. They said that Ethan Chapin.
Oh, come on. You got to be kidding me.
That they have released the second floor afterwards. And these are some of the other details that they have released. They said that Ethan Chapin.
You got to be kidding me. Let's push forward a little bit and try to go back. This is buffering on their channel. Hang on.
Room.
All right, let's go.
That they have released.
Sorry, guys.
They said that Ethan Chapin was killed in the doorway of Xana Kernodle's room before the killer set upon Xana. The sources say that it appeared Ethan had stepped partly into the hallway where the attack may have begun. These sources also say that Ethan Chapin suffered a slash to the neck.
Wow.
But I have to say that both of these details are in direct conflict with what the coroner had originally told us right here on this program exclusively. And also, they conflict directly with what police have said as well. And those two facts that are in conflict are that all of the victims were in their beds, according to police and the coroner. And according to the coroner, all of the injuries were stab wounds and not slash wounds. So I just want to play for you exactly what it was the coroner said in her words. Were any of them slashed? Were any of their necks cut?
Now this is back in November 22nd. This is what this segment was. So keep that in mind. It's not current. This is what the coroner said before, and then I believe they changed their answer.
Were these all punctured? Were any of their necks cut, or were these all puncture wounds?
Well, it was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds, and they were definitely stabbings.
Can you tell me, when you say that they might have been sleeping, were they found in beds?
Yes.
So those were the facts that the coroner told us. And like I said, it is in direct conflict with what these two sources familiar with the investigation are now telling us.
She said two sources are talking right now. Two sources. Wow.
As well,
I thought that she just said it one, but now she's revealed there's two sources talking.
Obviously needs to be sorted out and likely best in a court of law as well. Also want to tell you these other details that we have learned from these two sources, that Xana Kernodle put up a fierce fight when the attacker set upon her, repeatedly grabbing the attacker's knife, so much so that she sustained deep cuts to her fingers and that her fingers were nearly severed. Now, that does actually work in comport with what Xana's father had reported to an Arizona news outlet about what he knew.
I think that's all we're gonna get on that video. Actually, we got about 10 seconds. Let's get past this. That's terrible. Let's see what we got left. Yeah, that's it on that one. Oops, I don't want to get shut down here. All right, I got another little segment from Banfield as well. Shut that window down. Let's play through this. We got 6 minutes.
Close to the investigation. It really does fly in the face of what the coroner had reported earlier. Is it possible that both things can be true at the same time, what the coroner said and what these sources have said?
Well, good to be back with you, Ashley. Yes, the short answer is yes. When I listened to what the coroner shared, those are very, very general terms, very general comments. So, and now we're talking about specifics.
So now we're finding out, it says here that they did start on the top floor, and that I had believed that. No, actually, no, I'm sorry. I think we all thought that he went floor to floor, but now we're finding out that he went directly to the top floor and made his way down. Essentially, what could have happened was maybe he didn't hear Ethan and Xana. Maybe he thought that the only people that were home was Maddie and Kaylee, or Maddie, if Maddie was still living at the house at the time. Kaylee had already moved out, but was back that weekend to just party and hang out and had planned to go back home. But maybe he was targeting Maddie, went to the top floor, and then knowing that on that second floor he could go out the sliding glass door, goes to the top floor, kills the two girls, comes down, and maybe hears, Ethan was halfway, and they were saying Ethan was halfway out in the hallway. Maybe he spooked him, or maybe Ethan was, using the bathroom and heading back to the, to the bedroom, and gets caught. Kohberger comes behind. There's a fight and a struggle, gets to his neck and goes into the bedroom. And then leaves. And that's where DM sees him leaving. Darwin says most of us knew he went to the top floor specifically after the PCA.
So yes, in the big picture of things, both of those statements are going to be accurate.
And then the notion that Ethan may have made his way.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of walking it out is what I was basically saying.
Is it possible that maybe the attack began there, but then ended in the bed? And forensically speaking, and I'll get Joseph Scott Morgan to add to this in a moment, they would be able to tell, the murder investigators would be able to tell.
Oh, this is like, come on. Let's get through here.
To add to this in a moment. This new information that is coming to us from sources close to the investigation. It really does fly in the face of what the coroner had reported earlier. Is it possible that both things can be true at the same time, what the coroner said and what these sources have said?
Well, good to be back with you, Ashley.
Let's get ahead here.
We're going to add to this in a moment. They would be able to tell, the murder investigators would be able to tell.
I think so. I had talked about this before, that it's certainly possible that the evildoer, I will not say his name, did not know about Ethan being present in the house. So he is going to be kind of like a Ron Goldman, Nicole Brown situation, where he is collateral damage. He has to address the fact that he has an unknown present in front of him. So I don't think that he is, when he gets to Ethan and makes that attack, it is certainly possible that he falls back into the bedroom, onto the bed, and then Xana at that point understands if there's something going on. She may already be awake, as Ethan is, and then once he has taken care of Ethan, then he goes after Xana, and she is awake and aware, which gives her the ability to put up a heck of a fight. And unfortunately, of course, it turned out the way it did. So I would say that if the information that you've received is correct, is accurate, that it certainly falls in line with what we were told in very general terms at the beginning of this, and then what the evidence, as far as I was concerned, had led me to speculate on. So yes.
So Joseph Scott Morgan, I was trying to be as tender as possible with the coroner in asking the nature of this is before we ever knew anything about the nature of the stabbings. And I asked if any of the victims had been slashed. And she seemed to be very clear that these were all stab wounds. But these sources are saying that, Ethan had been slashed, that his neck had been slashed, and that was the original injury he received. I guess the same question for you. Can those two things still be true? Can a coroner consider a slash a stab?
If her assessment was made merely by what she saw at the scene, I'd say, yeah, they could be true. Those two things could be true.
Well, I'll stop you right there. I asked her that. I said, were you present for the autopsies? And she said, yes.
No, I said at the scene. If she made that assessment at the scene, just to be very blunt with you, these injuries are going to be encrusted with blood. It's hard to make that assessment at the scene. However, if she went to the post, this would have been easily visualized at that point in time. And not only is the injury to the neck a slash, allegedly, according to this person, but these injuries that you're talking about on the hands, these are going to be incised wounds as well. Not necessarily slashes, but this is as a result of grabbing hold of the blade and pulling it through the hand. These are not stab wounds. I can tell you that definitively based upon my experience. So yeah, there probably are some stab wounds, but that information is, you need more clarity here as to what she's saying. And that's, I guess at the end of the day, it's not really the point. I would draw into question what kind of exam was conducted on site at the scene. I've always wondered, when did she actually get access to the bodies? And how much?
I'm just going to pause this real quick. Casey says, let's see. BC, we'll go to this first. BC says, if he was in the area more than a dozen times while stalking, there's no way he could have not seen a male or noticed a male's vehicle. This is true. And I think that, he had a pretty good idea of the activity that was going on in that house. I mean, it's pretty apparent out of all the police body cam footage that we've seen that's been released, prior to this. There's been a lot of activity of in and out of that house. Maybe what I'm thinking is, obviously it's nighttime, the lights are off. I'm be curious to find out if there were any lights on in the house. Was there a light on in the bedroom, up in Madison's room? Was Xana's lights out? College kids are up, they're at different times, there's lights on, there's people partying. Maybe I just want to know if Bryan Kohberger is the person that did this. How did he know that this was the night to go there? Was it just, I'm going to risk it and go, and maybe I have luck that there's not a lot of people in the house, and I'm going there late, people are sleeping, because there was so much partying at that house. So I'm just curious to know, and we're never probably ever going to know that if he is the person that did this, but that's a general curiosity that I have about this as well too. How would you know that this, quote unquote, should be the night that you go? Was it impulse? Was it something that was planned? Maybe, there's some information that comes out. So Casey says, I don't think there's a newsroom. I don't think the newsroom realized that the crime scene analysis and coroner work together and determine trajectory and force of blood spatter. She's arguing a mute point. And Darwin says the report of the sources are demonstrably false. The PCA clearly says that Ethan was found in the bedroom, while this clickbait report by by News Nation says he was found in the hallway. It quite possibly could be, but someone's speaking, someone's saying something, and maybe there's not clear information, being passed. It's kind of like, the old game of telephone. Someone says something, it gets to that person. By the time it gets, you say banana over here. By the time it gets to the fifth person down the row, it's apple,
How much exposure did she have to the remains that she would have had to have traveled to Spokane to view those posts, because that's where they were?
I mean, I think a lot of what's going on now too is that, because the suspect has been caught, the alleged suspect has been caught so quickly, there's going to be just continue to talk about this case until June. I'm going to continue to talk about it when stuff comes out, or, we can get on the channel and debate it and talk about it. And, this is why we have these types of chats. And I think this is great, because we have the right to do this, to discuss and talk about maybe some new facts that come out. But I think right now, what news media does is they try to keep this stuff relevant and try to keep it, if they can get some type of information, get it out there first. So it's all to be put out there for us to either speculate or say, no, it could be a fact, but I think that's kind of what's going on right now as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, I did ask, because I know that so much of the reports come in from not only the scene and the logistics of the scene, but also what the medical examiner is able to determine at autopsy. And she said she'd been at both. She was able to confirm the amount of blood in Xana's room was consistent with the injuries that she saw on the scene. So, Phil, I'm going to ask you something that is more about the killer's MO, because Bryan Kohberger is alleged to have staked out that home, been there many times. His phone had been there at the late night hours many times. And so one would only reason that he would stake it out that night as well, and that he would know that Xana and Ethan had come home and were there together, as opposed to...
Do you guys think that Bryan actually ever partied in that house? Do you think that he was ever in that house prior to going there? Do you guys ever think that? Any of you guys think that he was at a party or may have been inside that house before the night in question? I'd be curious to see what you guys think. Drop your comments in the chat.
By that.
Well, I think that's the great unknown here. So we don't know if he was there staking it out and what that time frame was.
I think that's going to be it. I think that's it on that whole segment. They only got a little bit of the segment there, but that's it on that one. Let's see. And really quick, I saw this come up as well. This one is just more of like a text video, but oops, wrong one, buddy. You got to get organized. Let's see. I just did it again. Damn it. That's why I'm the idiot. All right. This one here. This is from the New York Post. It's posted 2 days ago. I think there's just music. I might get nailed for the music. Yeah, I'm going to turn the music off. But it says the creepy loner. It says 3 University of Idaho students said they saw Bryan Kohberger creeping around campus in the weeks before the brutal slaying. One telling people he was telling people he was the type to stare and got such a bad vibe when he left the food court where he was lingering. Excuse me. And that's it. And they're going to get us into this other stuff that are going on around the world. Yes, the Northeast. Yes, we had some crazy temperatures up here in the Northeast. But guys, I just wanted to jump on really quick as these new details, came up. And again, it's all up for debate. I just tend to report what's going on. So there's some conversation going on about the case. And that's why you guys have the freedom to come over and debate here and post up your questions. But again, I wanted to jump on this evening really quick, do the show. I'll be back live on Wednesday evening. I appreciate everybody this evening for hanging out and chatting. And to all the new subscribers over this past 2 weeks. It's been amazing. I've had 160 new subscribers here on the channel in the last 2 weeks. So I appreciate all of you. Please make sure if you are subscribed to the channel, hit the bell notification. So every time I go live or post a new video, you guys will have that. And then usually what I do for these live streams, I will download them and then re-upload them the next day. So if you miss them, you can come back and watch them. I go live every Sunday and Wednesday night at 9 p.m. And I may add another third night into this as well. Again, don't be shy. We always have the phone lines open if you guys want to call direct and chat. And I'd love to hear all of your insight to what's going on here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to close up the stream this evening, but I'll be back again on Wednesday night, live 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys can check me over there. Appreciate all of you here. Make sure on the way out you hit the upvote button. I do appreciate it. I'm going to hit the outro. And like I always say, opinions are like assholes and everybody's got one. See you guys on the next one. Peace.